And we begin with breaking news today on 10 TV News at noon. Auditors are serving dozens of search warrants at several Columbus public schools at this hour. We have live pictures for you now. These coming to you from over Centennial High School from Chopper 10. Investigators are collecting evidence that could be connected to a grade-changing scandal uncovered by 10 Investigates. Thank you for joining us today at noon. I'm Tracy Townsend. Sources close to the investigation tell us at least 35 warrants were being served. 10 TV's Tanisha Millette is live outside of Independence High School, where auditors did conduct a search. Tanisha.
Tracy, Independence High School is one of several dozens of Columbus City schools where a search warrant was served this morning, and the auditor's office confirms that those sealed warrants are for student records. 10 TV was there as staff from the state auditor's office, accompanied by Columbus police, arrived to pick up those documents. 10 TV was also on hand at Centennial High School on the northwest side as boxes of records were loaded into waiting vans. We have learned that this scene was played out at 35 different schools this morning. Columbus City Schools issued a statement today which confirmed the warrants were being issued and said in part that the district has cooperated fully with the investigation since it began, and the district will continue to do so. Now, despite those search warrants, it was a regular day here at school, this all happening while students were in class. However, I've already received a couple of messages on my Facebook page telling me that these are parents who say they wish that the auditor's office had waited until either before or after the students were in school to do this. We're live here on the east side. Tanisha Millette, 10 TV News.
Okay, Tanisha, thank you for that update. Now, we are being told the detectives who arrive to these schools are coming with Columbus police escorts. They've been on the move in various colored vans and vehicles moving from school to school. What you see right now is a map listing the schools that have been served warrants. Again, this happening at several dozen schools and all of these high schools that you see there on your screen. Now, again, sources have confirmed to us that these warrants are related to something 10 Investigates told you about, grade changing at Columbus City Schools. 10 Investigates Paul Aker is here now live, and you have really been working on this story. Paul, what can you tell us about what all of this means?
That's right. My sources are telling me this is related to that story that we told you about in February. That involved the school district changing grades. We found documents that showed the district had changed failing grades to passing grades over and over again. In 1 month alone, we found the district changed F's to D's about 700 times. Nobody from the district could explain the grade changes, but a former assistant principal told us that what we found was not normal and suggested the schools were doing it to improve their standings on state and federal rankings. A source tells 10 Investigates that today's warrants are to find records about student files that might shed light on the changes. State Auditor Dave Yost is not willing to get into details.
I can confirm that my office sought the warrants and sought the cooperation of the Columbus Division of Police. However, because the warrants have been sealed by the court and this is an ongoing audit, ongoing investigation, it would be inappropriate for me to comment any further.
And 10 Investigates has also learned that these warrants might be in response to problems with subpoenas. A source tells me that the subpoena process just wasn't going effectively enough, so they resorted to the warrants.
And can you tell us, Paul, what else they're doing?
Yeah, I can tell you that the auditor's office has in the past interviewed teachers to figure out just exactly what is going on with this process, whether this was legitimate, these grade changes, and get to the bottom of it. And that's what they're doing today.
And I'm sure our viewers have seen this play out in other places across the country, in Texas and, of course, in Georgia and Atlanta with the scandal there.
Yeah, several places throughout the country, they've had various iterations of this sort of scandal, and it simply hasn't ended well for those people involved.
All right, so I'm sure you're going to be working to uncover more.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul Aker, for joining us this afternoon. So stay with us here on 10 TV, on the air and online, for continuing coverage of the search warrant sweep at Columbus City Schools. We're working all of our sources to bring you the latest information on the investigation and what's happening. And we continue to follow breaking news this afternoon. Auditors are serving dozens of search warrants at several Columbus public schools right now. Investigators are collecting evidence that could be connected to a grade-changing scandal uncovered by 10 Investigates. 10 TV's Danielle Elias is outside Northland High School. Danielle.
Well, just minutes ago, someone came out of this school, Northland High School, accompanied by a police officer. In that police officer's hand, a big cardboard box and a briefcase. Now let's take a look at video from those moments just a short time ago. Here at Northland High School, presumably, we're told that box is full of student records. Around 11 o'clock this morning, 10 TV saw people walking in the school with flattened boxes. And earlier this morning, our crews at Beechcroft High School also captured people walking out with a number of full boxes. We're hearing this is all going on with very little disruption at school. We have noticed the classes are still going on here, and we will continue to keep you updated on this investigation, on this school investigation, when possible. Reporting live on this breaking news on the north side of Columbus, Danielle Elias, 10 TV News.
From Central Ohio's news leader. New, fresh, up to the minute. You're watching 10 TV News at 6.
CCS under siege. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kristen Hartman.
And I'm Jerry Revish. Well, the state served 35 search warrants in at least 17 buildings. It left the district's 50,000 students and their parents to wonder what's next for the Columbus City schools.
And we have team coverage tonight. 10 TV's Tanisha Millette has been talking to parents. We'll hear from her in a moment.
But we start with 10 Investigates' Paul Aker, who's uncovering new information on exactly what the state is looking for. Paul?
Right. 10 Investigates has learned what's at the heart of the investigation. It centers around one big question: whether district employees were paid bonuses to change grades. A district spokesman says that doesn't happen, but we found this email that shows investigators are looking for themselves. At Independence High School, police escort state auditors serving search warrants and pulling out boxes of potential evidence. Evidence that sources tell 10 Investigates could trigger a criminal investigation. But that's not something the state auditor is willing to discuss.
Because the warrants have been sealed by the court and this is an ongoing audit, ongoing investigation, it would be inappropriate for me to comment any further.
Still, a source close to the investigation, but not permitted to comment publicly, tells 10 Investigates auditors are looking into why the district changed student grades. In February, 10 Investigates uncovered stacks of documents that showed at least one district official had changed hundreds of grades. Most changes involved grades going from F's for failing to D's for passing. A former assistant principal for the district told us our findings showed something highly suspicious.
That would suggest manipulation of the grades. That would suggest to me some type of fraudulent activity is going on.
But why would district officials do that? 10 Investigates has learned the state auditor suspects money. We've uncovered a conversation between the state auditor's chief of investigations and the district's internal auditor. In an email obtained exclusively by 10 Investigates, the state investigator asks, "Do you have anything on who received bonuses for the grade changes?" If investigators do find direct evidence linking grade changes to bonuses, a law enforcement source who's familiar with the investigation says the grade change scandal will become a criminal investigation. And when I asked the district spokesman about bonuses for grade changes, again, he said it doesn't happen. When I asked about whether bonuses are paid for improving the district's performance rankings, which would be based on those grade changes, he said he was not prepared to answer that. Nobody else involved in the investigation was willing to comment.
All right, Paul, let me read you something here. A little bit of the statement from the Columbus City Schools today. It says this: the district has cooperated fully with the investigation since it began, and goes on to say the district has made hundreds, if not thousands, of student records available to the auditor of the state. So if that's the case, why would the auditor's office feel the need to get search warrants?
Well, a couple things going on here. First of all, that statement, as you probably noticed, was talking about the attendance scandal that's been going on for more than a year now. This investigation, at least in part, those search warrants, of course, were involving the grade changes, so different issues. Also, a source of mine that's close to the investigation tells us that the auditor's office has been frustrated, essentially. They've gone through the subpoena process, and that hasn't been fast or effective because of legal maneuvering, and this was the best way to get the answers they need.
Speed it along.
That's right.
Thanks, Paul.
You bet.
Plenty of parents are probably sitting around the dinner table tonight hearing about the raids from their kids. 10 TV's Tanisha Millette spoke with one parent who got an alarming text from his son. Tanisha.
Yeah, these raids happened after the students were already in school and in class, but that did not stop some of the students from seeing some of the activity that was going on outside, especially since multiple Columbus police cruisers escorted the workers from the state auditor's office. Parents say they understand the state auditor's ongoing work, but say the timing of the massive warrant sweep wasn't the best.
I understand the need to conduct a full investigation. However, I do believe that conducting this after school would have minimized the impact on instruction.
And as you heard Jerry read just moments ago, we do have a copy of that note the district sent out to parents to explain exactly what happened this morning. Live outside of district headquarters, Tanisha Millette, 10 TV News.
Today's warrant sweep is the latest step in an investigation that's been unfolding for years. And according to a spokesperson, district officials asked for the probe themselves. CCS says Superintendent Gene Harris asked the state auditor to investigate in 2011. But Yost initially declined. The district says Superintendent Harris went back to him. His office launched an investigation last June. It now includes allegations of attendance manipulation and grade changing. Stay with 10 TV on air and online for continuing coverage of the search warrant sweep at Columbus City Schools. We'll bring you the latest on air and online.